All right, guys, so here we have my brother's girlfriend's Jeep Grand Cherokee. It's a 2005, and I will be doing the rear brakes on it. So I will be showing you guys how to do a proper brake job. If any of you guys at home are doing one, I will be just kind of going through the steps on how to replace rear brakes. I know I did another brake job video, but this one I'm going to explain like everything. Well, might just kind of go over what I said in the last video, but might as well try and just cover it all since I got to do this one here. So I'm gonna get it lifted up and start taking the wheels off. All right, guys, so now that it's up in the air, we can take a look and see right in front of us how the brakes are. And if you look in there, this side's at probably about 30% or so, and then this side, I noticed when it was going up, you can see the grooves in it from rust build up on the edge too. And let's see, can we see the pad? Yeah, the pad is about at a quarter. So we're gonna be taking the wheels off and seeing what we're working with. All right, guys, and so here is the brake system. Sorry about the background noise. So now you can see the inside of the rotor, and you can see how grooved this one is, and the inner pad's not too bad yet. You guys can kind of see right there. So usually the inside pad wears out faster. I don't know the science behind that exactly. Well, let's just check this side. This side's pretty grooved too. And yeah, they're wearing pretty even. They're not that low yet, but they just got so rusted up that rust got in the pad and it's all grooved. It's not actually too bad, but it's the lip that's getting really bad. So just gonna replace them and get some fresh brakes put on so that it's got all the stopping power. So we'll be doing the brake pads and the rotors, and we gotta take the caliper off first here, which on this one it bolts on right back here, and it's probably like a 14 millimeter. So I'm gonna get the caliper taken off now. All right, guys, so I got the caliper all unbolted at the back, and so now I can take it off, and it looks like this one, the pads are actually held to the caliper. So it looks like it's just this clip, and then you pry it back. So I got a flat head here, and there we go. Should be, there we go. And that clip kind of gets stuck. Otherwise, usually the caliper is just on its own, and then the pads usually stay on here. But Jeeps are different. But you know, most cars and all that, they're like that. So then you just take your flathead and you get the hardware pieces off. There's that one, and this one. Come on. Oh, there it goes. And on this one, you actually don't have to take your bracket off, but you do want to make sure that right in there where that hardware was sitting on, you want to make sure that that is nice and clean, so there's no buildup in there causing your hardware not to sit in there right and tight, because that'll also not allow your pads to slide right, and it'll hold them up. Like you can see kind of in there a little bit of dirt and stuff. The most common thing is the rust will build up in there, and then your pads just won't slide that good, and they'll kind of stick. So this one actually doesn't have anything holding it on. Usually factory puts a screw in there to hold it on for the assembly line. This one doesn't have it, so we can just take this off here, and there you have it. This should slide right off. Sometimes if you're doing a car with e-brake, the e-brake will kind of catch, and you kind of gotta tap it off. But this one doesn't have that, so now we gotta get the caliper unloaded here. And this one just has a tab in there, and then this one, I'm not sure how this one's held on. It hooks on the caliper somehow, but this one just pushes in. See if it'll come out with the other one in. Nope, doesn't quite come out, so I gotta get the other one out first. All right guys, so this Jeep plate is just a cover that clips on the top here, so you want to pry that off. Try not to bend it, and then it's just kind of hooked on there with those tabs. So set that aside, and now you can see what's holding this on, and it looks like it just slides down off the caliper here. So get your good old pry tool, get in there. It's better if something's holding the caliper, but we got her here. It's also easier if you have another hand. And that one's kind of stuck. So you also got those holes in the pads of these, so you gotta push and then slide it. It's getting there. There we go. So there you have it. Got that one off, and now this one will just pull off. And in this case, you might have to compress your piston a little bit for your caliper, but this one just slid right out. And now you gotta reset your caliper, which they make a tool for it. And so this is a reset tool for the caliper, and this just goes in there and then you ratchet it back. This one's kind of a cheap one, so kind of need two hands for it. But if you don't have that, don't worry. You can just take your old pad and long like adjustable pliers and press it together. And then while you're at it, you definitely want to check your slides. That is one of the most important things. So you can see that one moves. And let's check this one. This one moves. So I'm sure these ones don't seize up as much, but on like Chevy and other American companies, they go into the bracket here and they like to seize in the bracket, but this one you don't have a problem with. And now you can just get the caliper reset and then start assembling. So as you guys can see, I just reset the caliper there, so now we can get the new pads in and not have them not fit on the new rotor, because these ones are wore down. So I'm gonna get the new stuff and start putting it on. All right guys, so here's the new rotor. So what I like to do is I like to put the rotor on backwards at first, just like that, and then take your brake cleaner and just spray off all the oils that they put on it from packaging it so that it doesn't rust up. And you flip it around and then slide it on that way, and then do this side, and then that just cleans it all off so that you don't get all that oils plugging up the brake pads. I mean, other people do say that if you hit them hard enough, it'll just burn off and you'll be just fine. But I mean, they make brake cleaner for a reason, so I mean, they must want you to clean them off. So now it's time to get the new pads installed. The new ones are actually right here, and we'll get those on. All right guys, so first, before I put the pads back in the caliper, I'm going to be cleaning up the bracket and putting the hardware on there. All right guys, so I'm going to be cleaning the bracket with some sandpaper here. Otherwise you can use a wire wheel or a wire brush, just something that's gonna clean it off. So I'm gonna scuff it up quick and then put the hardware on. All right guys, so I got the new hardware right here, and it just goes on like so. See, I guess a little bit hangs off of each side, and then you kind of gotta hit it on there so that it sticks, and then the top's the same way. So you might need a hammer for this because it clips on, and then you just see that catches. So I'm gonna need my other hand. All right guys, so I actually had to take the rotor off to tap them all the way on because they didn't want to go on flush. So now I got them both on. Now it's time to load up the caliper. All right guys, so for putting your new pads on, you want to make sure that you put the caliper, the piston one on first, because once it's in there, like if you put the other one on first, there won't be enough room. So this one just clips into that piston. All right, so I got it in there. Now it's time to put this one on, and this one just slides right over, and then it'll lock into the holes once it's on. All right, and there you have it. Now it should just slide right over the new brake. And you want to make sure that the bottom goes in first into the hardware. And you want to make sure that your slides aren't in the way. So you gotta have your slides all the way out. Make sure your boot doesn't get caught either. And there it is. All right guys, and now all you gotta do is just put your bolts back in. So in this case, they all lined up. And the top one did too. And then you just tighten it down. Want to make sure that they're nice and tight, but you don't want to break them, but you also don't want them coming loose and having your caliper fall off. There you go. Double check this one. And now all that's left is to put your tire on. All right guys, so now that this side is all done, I still have to go over here and do this side now. So I'll just do a time lapse of me getting this side done. Oh, and I almost forgot about the little Jeep symbol. So that just hooks in there, hooks right there, clips on. All right guys, so this side actually has a little O-ring holding the rotor on. So I gotta get that taken off. I don't know why the other side didn't have it. Maybe it dried up and fell off, or maybe the brakes were done before and they didn't put it on, but I gotta take that off and then I'll get it all put back together. All right guys, so the best way to get the O-rings off is to kind of squeeze them, and then it'll come up in one spot and then you can pull it off. But I did get this rotor off now, and this side has e-brakes, so I'm assuming they just deleted it on the other side, and because the other side was probably making noise too, and this one, the shoe completely fell apart. So I gotta figure out what I want to do, if I want to just kind of reset it or what. I don't know. I'll go ask and see what's up. All right guys, so if you have the same problem and this happens to you, just make sure that your e-brakes shoes, that they're tight. This one's pretty tight, and just put it back together and just see if it makes noise. Otherwise you could just delete it, just like that side's deleted. It won't affect anything. You know, this isn't a manual, so it's not like you need the e-brake anyways. Most people don't even use them. That's why they fall apart. and rust up and get stuck. So I'm gonna just put it back together, make sure it doesn't make noise. But if it does, I'm just gonna have to delete it like the other side. So I'm gonna keep on going. All right guys, so putting this caliper on actually kind of fought me a little bit, but I got it on now, and now all that's left for the brakes is to put the wheels back on. All right guys, so I got the rear wheels back on now, and now I'm going to lower it down and torque them so that you don't have to worry about the lug nuts coming loose and falling off. All right guys, so I got the wheels all torqued, and now you guys might be thinking, all right, well that's it, that's the brake job. Well, no, actually, now you want to go in and pump up your pedal, because the rear brakes need to re-pump up. So it usually takes like 3 pumps. And then what you do is you want to go under the hood now and check your brake fluid level. This one is right here, and as you guys can see, yeah, shine a light in there. You guys can see right there, it's right up at the max mark. So now we're all done and we're good to go on a test drive.